wow, you're literally shape-shifting right now. I mean it. I can feel it. You can feel it. And yeah, you're tired, right? You're worn down in ways you can't even fully explain to anyone around you. It's that kind of tired that doesn't leave with 8 hours of sleep or 3 cups of coffee. This exhaustion has been real for us, for this whole collective. It's like dragging yourself through invisible mud. And then, this is the wild part, I almost feel this energy of nothingness around you. Like, nothing is sticking. Nothing is pulling too hard either way. You're not up in the highs, you're not drowning in the lows, you're just floating somewhere right in the middle. And maybe that sounds boring or strange, but let me tell you, that middle ground, that neutrality, that is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. Hi love, welcome in. If this video has found you and you already know this is how it works, then it is for you. No accidents here, no coincidences. The universe doesn't miss. So before we go deeper, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, because if these messages are aligning with your soul, that means you're supposed to be here. You're part of this journey, part of this frequency. And I don't want you missing out when the next wave hits, because trust me, the waves are coming. Now, let's get into this. The space you're in right now, this in-between place, it can feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It can feel like limbo, like you're waiting in the hallway between 2 locked doors. Nothing's happening, nothing's breaking through, and you start questioning yourself. You're like, why is there no movement? Did I miss something? Did I make a wrong turn? But here's the truth. You didn't make a wrong turn. You made the right one. It's just that your system, your soul, your whole timeline, it's catching up with you. You're in a recalibration phase. Think of it like when your phone does that little spinning wheel update, you know? It feels like nothing's happening. You know, you're staring at the screen, getting annoyed, wondering if it's frozen. But under the surface, it's literally restructuring everything so the next version runs smoother, faster, stronger. That's what's happening with you. Your energy is doing a full update. And yeah, it feels like nothing, but it's everything. I'll be real with you. Just the other day, I was sitting at my desk, coffee in hand, staring at my screen. And I had like 5 tabs open, emails, notes, something I was half writing, and suddenly I just sat back and thought, I don't feel pulled to any of this. Not in a lazy way, not in a depressed way, just neutral. Like my body didn't want to fight or push or chase, it just wanted to be. And in that moment, I realized that neutrality was protecting me. Because if I had forced myself into one of those tabs, I'd be leaking energy into something that wasn't aligned. The universe was literally putting me on pause. And it's funny because when we hear pause, we think weakness, we think wasted time, but look at nature. Even trees have their winters. They don't bloom all year round. They pull back, they look bare, stripped, almost lifeless. But underneath the soil, there's so much happening, roots deepening, systems preparing for the next burst of life. That's you. You're in your winter, neutral still, not attaching to extremes, not running after temporary highs, not collapsing into dark spirals, just floating, just existing. And that's a sign you're safe now. It's wild how safety feels uncomfortable at first, because so many of us have lived in chaos for so long that peace feels suspicious. You ever notice that when everything gets quiet, you start looking around like, okay, what's about to go wrong? I caught myself doing that last week. I had this super calm day, no emergencies, no crazy calls, and I literally sat on my couch tapping my foot waiting for something to happen. My nervous system didn't know how to accept safety. And I realized, wow, that's the conditioning unraveling. That's survival mode slowly dissolving. And that's what's happening for you. You're learning that neutrality doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is lining up behind the scenes. It's almost like when you've been in traffic inching forward, all tense, and suddenly the road opens up and you're like, wait, why is no one in my lane? And for a second you hesitate because you're not used to smooth driving. But then you realize, oh, this is what flow feels like. So if you've been asking yourself, why no movement? Why does everything feel flat, like I'm not excited about anything? It's because you're floating in that sacred middle. You're detoxing from extremes. You're not attaching to temporary highs that burn out fast, and you're not giving your power to shadows that drain you. You're learning balance. You're learning the art of stillness. And trust me, it's not wasted time. It's the incubation stage before something massive breaks through. You don't have to force joy right now. You don't have to dramatize your pain either. You just have to allow, float in the middle, let the neutrality wash over you. Because neutrality is the proof you've entered a safer frequency. It's the space between your old survival story and your new timeline. And the funny thing is, I know you feel it too. That quiet whisper inside saying, slow down, you're safe now. You don't have to grip the steering wheel so hard anymore. You don't have to chase validation. You don't have to overthink every single next move. The universe has you in the palm of its hand right now, keeping you suspended, not because you're stuck, but because you're shifting. And when the release comes, and oh, it will, you're going to look back at this strange floating season and realize it was the cocoon. You're not failing. You're not frozen. You're transforming in stillness. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be. And so right here, I want to take you deeper into what this actually feels like. Because yeah, you've probably already noticed it doesn't really feel like excitement. It doesn't really feel like sadness either. It just feels like a forced pause, like The universe literally hit the brakes on your life and said, stop, sit here for a second. And you're like, wait, what? Why? Nothing's moving, nothing's happening, nothing's calling me forward. And that nothingness, that nothingness can feel strange. It can feel like stagnancy, like you've been parked on the side of the road while everyone else is flying by. But here's what I need you to know. This isn't stagnancy. This isn't life punishing you or leaving you behind. This is intentional. This is a reset. This is that quiet intermission where the lights go down in the theater and everyone in the back is scrambling to change the stage set for the next act. You can't see it, but oh, it's happening. And because you're someone who usually feels everything so deeply, like you're that person who walks into a room and can immediately feel if the energy is off, if someone's upset, if something's hidden. You're used to being plugged into sensation. So when all that stimulation gets pulled back and you're left in this weird muted state, it can really freak you out. And I felt this myself just yesterday. I was walking down the street, headphones in, coffee in my hand, and usually I'm noticing everything. The color of the sky, the sound of someone laughing across the street, that little ache in my foot from walking too much. But yesterday, it was like all of that was dimmed. I was noticing but not reacting. I was in it but also slightly outside of it, just watching myself exist. It was the strangest kind of peace but also uncomfortable because my brain kept asking, why don't you feel more? Why aren't you more excited? Why aren't you more worried? And I had to literally tell myself, no, this is the pause. This is exactly where I'm meant to be. That's what's happening to you. You're perceiving your feelings differently right now. It's not that you don't have them. It's that you're stepping back into observer mode. You're almost watching yourself have the feelings instead of being consumed by them. Like imagine sitting in the movie theater of your own life. Instead of being inside the character's head, panicked, emotional, lost in the drama, you're sitting 3 rows back just watching. You're eating your popcorn, sipping your drink and going, interesting, I'm sad today, I'm irritated today, I'm calm today. It's not less real, it's just less gripping. And yeah, it feels chaotic to even explain it. Like I know some of you are thinking, this doesn't even make sense, but if you're in it, you get it. You feel this detachment, this kind of floaty awareness that's not really good or bad. It just is. That's the nothingness. That's the pause. And let me say this because it's important that pause is not permanent. It's not forever. This is a season. This is the in-breath before the exhale, the silence before the drop in the song. Think about it. No DJ just slams the beat over and over without a pause. They give you that silence, that tension, so when the beat finally comes back, you feel it in your whole body. That's what this is. The universe is holding you in suspense, letting your nervous system unclench, letting your energy catch up, so when the next move comes, it's going to hit harder. But because you're used to extremes, you're used to passion, highs, lows, the big emotions, this neutral zone feels like someone turned the color down on your life. It feels like black and white after you've been living in neon. And you might be tempted to poke at it, to force yourself to feel more, to chase stimulation. But that's not what this moment is asking of you. It's asking you to accept the grayscale, to accept the stillness, to stop needing the roller coaster and instead learn how to love the calm. I'll give you a metaphor that came to me the other night. You know when you're swimming in the ocean and the waves are tossing you all over the place, salt water in your mouth, hair everywhere, body flailing, and then all of a sudden the waves just stop, the water goes calm. At first you're like, uh-oh, where did the waves go? You almost miss the chaos because it gave you something to fight against. But then you realize this calm water is what actually lets you float. You're not drowning, you're not choking, you're not fighting, you're just held. That's this pause. I know it feels awkward. I know you might even feel guilty about it. Like, why am I not wanting more right now? Why am I not chasing my goals with fire? But babe, you're not meant to be hungry all the time. Even lions don't hunt every day. Sometimes they just stretch out in the sun and rest because they know the hunt will come again. You're in that lion phase right now, stretched out, watching, letting yourself breathe. And honestly, let this message be your permission slip. If you've been secretly worried that your lack of hunger means you're lazy or unmotivated or falling behind, no. It means you're in the pause. It means you've finally been allowed to step off the battlefield for a second and sit with yourself, to feel your feelings without drowning in them, to observe without reacting. So yeah, it might feel like nothingness, but that nothingness, it's sacred. It's where the ground is being cleared, the soil being turned, so the next seeds can take root. It's the silence before the music swells again. And if you're hearing me right now, if this is resonating in your chest, then congratulations. You've entered that pause, that intermission, and it's exactly where you're supposed to be. And that's the thing, right? We just talked about that pause, that nothingness, and here's where it naturally flows into what you're feeling right now. Because it's not just emptiness anymore. It's like a hum beneath the silence. You're floating, you're coasting, but under it all, there's this weird pull in your chest, like you're waiting on something you can't quite name. It's anticipation, it's not urgency, it's not panic, it's not even excitement in the usual sense. It's quieter than that. Almost like standing at the train station, bags in hand, not rushing, not frantic, but just waiting for the arrival you know is coming. And I'm laughing because as I was channeling this energy just now, the word anticipation came through clear as day. And then immediately in my head, I heard emancipation. And I was like, what the heck? That doesn't even belong in this video. But then again, maybe it does. Because when you think about it, anticipation and emancipation, they're not that far apart. You're anticipating your release. You're anticipating the freedom that comes after being bound up in old timelines, old patterns, old cycles. That low hum inside you is whispering, something's about to break you loose. But right now, it's like you're just filling your days, making time pass. You might be binge watching shows you don't even care about, scrolling for no reason, walking aimlessly, napping at random times. And you might be judging yourself for that, but listen, you're not lazy, you're resting. And sometimes rest doesn't look like a spa day with candles and cucumbers on your eyes. Sometimes rest looks like lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling, or wandering down the block just to hear your shoes hit the pavement. That's rest too. That's your nervous system downshifting, even if your mind is saying, I should be doing more. I'll be real with you. This happened to me last week. I had a whole list of things I wanted to get done. Emails, writing, a project I was supposed to finish, and you know what I did? None of it. I sat on my bed with my notebook open and stared at the page for like an hour. I thought I should write, but my body said, no, you should lie here. And instead of fighting it, I let myself sink into that nothingness. And guess what? The next day, my clarity came rushing back. It's like the universe had to knock me out of my own way so I'd actually hear myself again. That's what I feel for you right now. This rest isn't optional. It's been forced. The universe has a funny way of pulling the plug on us when we won't do it ourselves. Like maybe you've noticed your plans keep getting delayed, people keep cancelling on you, opportunities keep falling through. And instead of seeing that as rejection, I want you to see it as divine protection. You're being set down. You're being told, not yet. Breathe. The next chapter is still arranging itself. Think of it like a bow and arrow. The arrow doesn't launch forward until it's been pulled all the way back. That pause, that tension, that waiting, that's you right now. You're the arrow being drawn. And yeah, from your perspective, it just feels like being yanked backward, forced into stillness, forced into this weird space of watching days pass by. But from the universe's perspective, you're being positioned for distance, for accuracy, for impact. And I know some of you feel restless about it. You're like, I want to go, I want to do, I want to know what's next. But then there's another part of you, the wiser part, that's strangely okay with just resting. It's calm, it's surrendered, almost like walking slowly down a quiet street at sunset, no destination, just moving for the sake of being alive. That's the energy I see around you right now. Calm, neutral, anticipatory. Let me give you another metaphor. Have you ever baked bread from scratch? You do all this work, you knead the dough, you add the yeast, you set it up in the bowl, and then what? You cover it and walk away. You literally have to leave it alone for hours while it rises. If you try to rush it, if you poke at it or pull it out too soon, it won't rise the way it's supposed to. That's you right now. You're in the rising stage. You've done the work. The yeast is already inside you. The chemistry is working, but you can't see it yet. All you can do is wait and trust that the rise is happening in the silence. And honestly, it is happening. I know you might feel like you're wasting time, but you're not. You're incubating. You're absorbing. You're letting your body, mind, and spirit sync up with the shift you've already called in. That's why it feels anticipatory. You can sense the change before it physically arrives. And that's the gift of this rest. It's teaching you how to trust the unseen. It's teaching you that you don't have to earn every breakthrough by exhausting yourself. Sometimes the breakthrough shows up after a nap. Sometimes the blessing arrives while you're sitting in your pajamas, unbothered, scrolling aimlessly. Because you don't manifest by grinding yourself into dust. You manifest by aligning, and alignment often requires stillness. So if you feel like you've been forced into rest, don't resist it. Don't call yourself lazy. Don't panic that nothing's happening. See it for what it is, a sacred suspension. You're the arrow pulled back, the dough rising, the passenger waiting calmly at the station. And when that train arrives, when that release comes, it's going to make sense why you had to be still for so long. And see, this is where it naturally carries forward. We just talked about that forced rest, that anticipatory NG, like you're the arrow being pulled back or the bread dough rising, right? And now it's as if the universe is saying, okay, breathe. Because when you step forward again, it won't be into the same life you left behind. It's going to be a whole new canvas. And that's the energy I'm feeling for you right now. Blank, wide open possibility. At first it can feel scary, almost too quiet, too empty. But in truth, that emptiness is sacred. That emptiness is space being cleared. It's like the walls of your old house have been stripped bare. The old furniture's gone, the clutter's been thrown out, and you're standing there in a clean, echoing room. And yeah, maybe part of you misses the familiarity of the old setup, even if it was cramped, even if it didn't really fit you anymore. But here's the thing, the universe is turning your life into a clearinghouse, out with what no longer resonates, out with what weighs you down so you can start choosing with intention. And I know we're all in alignment here because this theme keeps circling back to the messages, rest, ease, slowing down, trusting that you've already done enough. That's hard for people like us to accept, right? Because we're so conditioned to push, to grind, to constantly prove we deserve the next step. But this season, it's not about effort, it's about allowance. It's about realizing you've transformed, you've survived, you've outgrown, and now you're literally standing at the threshold of the biggest transformation of your life. Picture this with me for a second. Imagine you're holding a brush in your hand, staring at a massive, untouched canvas. Pure white, nothing marked on it yet. And the universe is basically saying, here, it's yours. Paint whatever you want. No rules, no old outlines you have to follow, no critics watching over your shoulder. Do you feel that weight and that freedom at the same time because that's where you are? And if you're anything like me, your first instinct might be hesitation. I remember just a few days ago, I opened a brand new notebook I'd bought. The first page was crisp, clean, no marks, and I literally froze. I thought, what if I mess it up? What if what I write isn't good enough for this fresh page? And then I laughed, because isn't that what life feels like right now? You've been given this fresh page, and instead of celebrating it, you're worried about ruining it. But the truth is, nothing you create from here on out can be wrong because it's authentically yours. That's the invitation in this season, to release the fear of messing it up and to recognize the blessing of starting new. The old brush strokes are gone, the old paint has dried and flaked away, and you don't have to replicate that anymore, you get to choose again. And part of that choice comes from clearing. The universe is clearing house for you, whether you like it or not. Old relationships might be fading, jobs or opportunities may have ended, habits that once comforted you might now feel heavy, and at first losing those things feels like punishment. But look at it through the lens of the canvas. It's just space being made so the new colors have somewhere to land. It reminds me of when I did a big closet clean out earlier this year. I had so many clothes I hadn't worn in ages, stuff that technically still fit, but didn't feel like me anymore. And I resisted getting rid of them because there was always this thought of, maybe one day I'll need this, maybe one day it'll feel right again. But every time I opened my closet, it felt cluttered, overwhelming. Finally, I donated bags of it. And the craziest thing happened. Not only did my space feel lighter, but suddenly I actually had room to invite new pieces in that align with who I've become now. That's exactly what the universe is doing with your life right now. Clearing, cleaning, making space, and yeah, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you're standing there looking at what's been taken away and wondering if you'll ever feel full again. But the blank canvas doesn't mean emptiness forever. It means possibility. It means every brushstroke from here on out can be intentional, deliberate, aligned. You're not painting with the colors other people handed you anymore. You're mixing your own palette. That's what makes this moment so powerful. You've transformed as a human being. You're not the same person you were 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. You couldn't even fit back into that old version of yourself if you tried. So, of course, your life is reflecting that transformation. It's giving you a brand new surface to create on. And let me say this, don't rush to fill it. That's the trap. We see a blank canvas and we panic thinking, I need to put something on here now, or it doesn't count. But that defeats the purpose. The gift of the blank canvas is that it waits for you. It doesn't demand you splatter it immediately. It invites you to pause, breathe, and choose carefully what belongs. So maybe right now, your job isn't to know exactly what to paint. Maybe it's just to stand in front of the canvas, brush in hand, and trust that when the time comes, the vision will flow through you. Maybe it's to appreciate the clearing, and then the open space, the silence, because once the colors start blending, once the picture begins to take form, you'll never get this pristine blankness back. And this exact moment of openness is rare. It's sacred. You're not being left behind. You're being reset. You're not losing. It's being cleared. And the canvas in front of you, it's proof that your story isn't over. It's just beginning in a whole new way. And here's where it gets really personal, because after that blank canvas energy, after that clearing house moment, you know what's been happening beneath the surface, inside of you? You've been scrubbing yourself clean, babe. Like seriously, you've been clearing out so much gunk, and I don't mean just the surface level stuff. I'm talking every dusty corner, every forgotten drawer in your soul, every little place you used to shove old pain, shame, guilt, regret. You've been going in there with a broom and sweeping it out, and no wonder you're exhausted. That kind of deep cleaning takes everything out of you. Think about it. When was the last time you did a real heavy clean in your actual house? Like, not just shoving things under the bed or wiping down the counters, but pulling out furniture, scrubbing baseboards, cleaning the corners you usually ignore. By the end of it, your back hurts, your hands are raw, and you're standing there sweating, but oh my God, the air feels lighter, the space feels freer. That's exactly what you've been doing internally. That's why you feel tired for no reason. It's not no reason, it's this. And it hasn't just been about people, though relationships have been a huge part of it. Some connections had to go. You knew it, you felt it, you probably resisted it at first, but the universe kept nudging. This one doesn't fit anymore. And so, piece by piece, you've been letting them fall away. Same with old habits, the things you used to cling to when you didn't know how else to cope. They're not serving you anymore, so you've been loosening your grip. And then there's the hardest one, the self-forgiveness part. Coming to terms with old mistakes, moments you used to replay in your head over and over, carrying shame or guilt like it was your permanent identity. You're finally setting that back down. You're saying, I don't have to keep dragging this weight. And That's huge. I actually had a moment like this myself not too long ago. I was journaling, just scribbling things out without thinking, and I found myself writing an apology to myself. It was like, I'm sorry for being so hard on you. I'm sorry for expecting you to know better when you were just trying to survive. I forgive you. And let me tell you, the tears that came after, that was the gunk leaving. That was the cleaning. Sometimes the mess isn't physical, it's the stories we keep telling ourselves about who we were. And when you finally wipe those stories away, the space that opens up inside feels massive. That's the next piece of this, the expansion. Because the universe doesn't just clear you out for fun. It clears you out to fill you with something brighter, bigger, lighter. And I swear I can almost see it when I tune into your energy. It's like there's this tiny version of you inside, sweeping every corner, then opening the windows of your soul and letting the sunlight flood in, like literally pushing light energy into every crevice. And the more they sweep, the more space opens up. The more you release, the more room there is for expansion. And maybe you've already felt it, those moments where you suddenly feel lighter out of nowhere, like you're walking outside and the air feels fresher, or you catch yourself laughing a little easier, or you notice you're not reacting to things the way you used to. That's because your vessel is expanding. It's holding more light now. But here's the part that's tricky. Expansion doesn't always feel like joy right away. Sometimes it feels like emptiness because you've made room and you're waiting for the new to arrive. It's like clearing out your closet. You take out all the clothes that don't fit and now it looks half empty. At first you're like, oh, what did I do? I don't have anything left to wear. But that space isn't a loss. It's an invitation. It's the universe saying, good, now I can bring you new pieces that actually fit who you are now. This inner cleaning has been brutal at times, I know. You've probably cried, lost sleep, had random waves of anger or sadness, but all of that has been part of the purge. And once it's done, once that little version of you finishes sweeping, what you're left with is so much room. Room for joy, room for creativity, room for love that actually feels good instead of heavy. And maybe this is the first time in your life where you've actually had that room. Think about that. So much of your energy before was taken up by carrying things that didn't belong to you. Other people's expectations, old hurts, old versions of yourself. And now, for the first time, you're actually standing inside a body, a mind, a spirit that has space to breathe. That's what this whole season has been about, clearing out, expanding, preparing. And if you feel a little raw right now, a little empty, that's okay. That emptiness is exactly where the light is flowing in. And once it settles, you're going to realize you've become bigger on the inside than you've ever been before. And right here, this is where it gets beautiful, almost poetic. Because after all that inner cleaning, after all that sweeping out of the gunk, after all that exhausting release, you know what happens? Your heart finally has room to breathe. And I'm not talking about a little sigh of relief. I'm talking about a full expansion, like a chest cracked wide open to let the light in. That's the energy I'm feeling around you right now, a heart awakening. Think about it, something very heavy, maybe the heaviest thing you've carried has finally been set down. For some of you, it was years in the making, years of holding on to pain that you thought you'd never fully be able to let go of. Maybe it was heartbreak, maybe it was betrayal, maybe it was disappointment in yourself. Whatever it was, it sat on your chest like a stone, making every breath shallow. And now, that stone has been lifted, not temporarily, not, oh, maybe it'll come back, but once and for all. A release that feels final. And because of that, your heart has space again. I can feel it. It's almost like a flower that's been closed tight, petals bound up, finally opening under the warmth of the sun. Your heart is expanding, stretching itself, saying, okay, I can feel again, I can love again, I can trust again. And maybe that's scary because vulnerability has always been a risk. But here's the difference this time. You're not giving your heart away recklessly. You're expanding it from a place of safety. You've built the foundation. You've cleared the room. So now when love and connection enter, they won't drown you. They'll flow through you. And it's not just romantic love though. That could be part of it. It's love for life. It's love for your own journey. It's the way you catch yourself smiling at little things again. Sunlight through the blinds. The way your favorite song suddenly hits different. The way laughter comes out easier. That's your heart waking up. That's your capacity widening. I had a moment like this recently. I was sitting at a cafe, just people watching, sipping my drink, and out of nowhere I felt this wave of gratitude. Not for anything specific, just for being alive, for the fact that I was breathing, that the air was moving through my lungs, that I was here in this moment. And I swear it brought tears to my eyes. That's what a heart awakening feels like. You're not forcing gratitude, you're not making a list, you're just sitting there and your whole chest vibrates with love for existence itself. Some people call it a Kundalini awakening, when the energy rises and opens every part of you. And whether or not that word resonates with you, the essence is the same. Your capacity is expanding. Your ability to love is expanding. Your ability to communicate honestly is expanding. Your ability to dream bigger than you ever allowed yourself to dream. That's expanding too. Because now there's room. You've made the space, you've cleared out the clutter, and the light rushing in is filling every corner of your heart. And the most important piece, safety. Because this isn't just about more love, more feelings, more dreaming. It's about feeling safe to have all of it, safe to be soft, safe to let yourself be seen, safe to rest in your own skin without needing to armor up all the time, and that safety changes everything. Because when your nervous system finally trusts that you're not in danger anymore, your heart can do what it was always meant to do, expand. So yeah, this is a heart awakening, and it's tender, it's raw, it's overwhelming at times, but it's real. And if you've been wondering why you're suddenly crying at random moments, or why you're feeling emotions more intensely than usual, it's not because you're weak. It's because your vessel finally has space to hold them. It's because your heart is stretching itself into new territory. And the crazy thing is, you're only just beginning. This expansion isn't a one-time burst, it's a continual unfolding. Every day, your heart is going to show you a little more of what it's capable of. And as it does, you'll realize you're not the same person who once carried that stone on your chest. You're lighter, you're freer, and most of all, you're open. And see, this is the natural next step after your heart opens, because what good is an awakened heart if you're not fully in your body to feel it? This season you're in right now, love, it's pulling you down from the endless spirals of your mind and planting you back in your body, anchoring you, grounding you. And maybe that's why it's felt so uncomfortable, because you're used to living up there in the clouds of your thoughts, in the visions of the future, in the psychic energy of what's possible, but the universe isn't letting you live ahead of yourself anymore. It's saying, nope, right here, right now, in this body, in this moment. And it's wild because that nothingness we've been talking about, this is where it actually makes sense. You're being slowed down, not because you're behind, but because you're being trained, literally trained, to stop racing into what hasn't happened yet. You've planted so many seeds already, you've done the work, but your instinct is to run back and check the soil every 5 minutes, digging it up to see if it's sprouted, and that's exhausting, that's control. So the universe is saying, hands off, trust the process, let the seeds do what seeds do. I'll tell you a personal story. Just last week, I was making tea in the kitchen, and my mind was already 10 steps ahead, thinking about what I had to do tomorrow, what I should have said yesterday, how the next month might unfold, and then I spilled boiling water right onto the counter because I wasn't even here. My body was pouring, but my brain was miles away. And in that messy, annoying moment, I laughed because it was the perfect metaphor. The universe literally burned my counter to get me to stop, to come back, to be present in what I was actually doing. And that's the lesson for you too. Being anchored in your body doesn't mean life stops. It means you stop missing it. It means instead of spiraling in your head about what if and what's next, you actually taste your food, you actually feel your breath, you actually notice how your feet connect to the floor. You're not floating above your life, you're inside it. And when you're inside it, the beauty that's already around you stops being invisible. But I get it. It's hard. You're someone who likes to analyze, to label things, to put names and categories on your emotions, to plan ahead so you feel secure. And right now, that strategy isn't working, which is why it feels uncomfortable, maybe even frustrating, because the energy you're in is literally asking you to let all of that go. Stop labeling. Stop trying to control the storyline. Stop dissecting every feeling. Just be with it. Think of it like lying in the grass. If you're analyzing the grass, counting blades, wondering how fast it grows, comparing it to other lawns, you miss the point. But if you just lay there, breathe it in, feel the sun on your skin, hear the breeze, you're grounded, you're present. That's the shift happening for you. And yes, part of it feels like nothingness. But that nothingness is the medicine. It's retraining your nervous system to trust that you don't need to constantly do, label, or control. You're safe enough to rest, safe enough to be here, safe enough to let your body hold you. So when the urge comes to overthink, to overplan, to run into the future, catch yourself, ask, where are my feet right now? Where's my breath right now? Because that's where life is, that's where your power is. Not in yesterday, not in tomorrow, here. And I promise, the more you practice anchoring into this present moment, the more you'll realize that everything you've been chasing was already trying to find you. But it can only meet you where you are, and where you are is now. And this is exactly where it flows from what we just talked about. Anchoring, grounding, being pulled out of your head and dropped back into your body. Because once you land there, once you're really present, the next lesson hits. And honestly, it's one of the hardest ones for people like us. Rest, real rest. Not the I'll lie down but still check my phone and guilt trip myself for not being productive kind of rest. Not the I'll take a break but only so I can work harder later kind of rest. I'm talking about unapologetic, nothing to prove, pure rest. And let's be real, we don't like that. We're overachievers. We want to push, we want to accomplish, we want to tick every box. So when the universe forces us into stillness, it feels unnatural, even wrong. But that's the message, and that's why it keeps repeating. Because it's not enough to hear it once. We need it to drill down into our bones. You are being forced right now to learn the medicine of rest. To sit in the nothingness without trying to fill it. To breathe without attaching a Y to the breath. To exist without needing a gold star for existing. And yes, it's uncomfortable, it feels itchy, like you want to crawl out of your skin sometimes. But that discomfort, that's the exact place where the alchemy happens. That's where you transmute the old need for control into peace. That's where you turn the habit of chasing into trust. I can't lie, this lesson has been beating me up personally. Just last week, I had a free afternoon, which is rare, and instead of enjoying it, I found myself pacing my apartment, literally trying to invent things to do. I thought, I should write. No, I should clean. No, maybe I should go somewhere. And finally, I sat down on the couch, annoyed, and just stared at the wall. And you know what? After 10 minutes of fighting myself, something shifted. The silence started feeling soothing instead of empty. My nervous system unclenched. And I realized that was the medicine. Not forcing productivity into the space, but letting the space itself heal me. That's what's happening for you. The universe has anchored you into this pause so you can stop running. Because think about it. You've been running for years. Running toward goals, running away from fears, running to prove you're enough. And now, you're safe. You don't need to outrun anything. You don't need to chase anything. You deserve to just be. And here's the paradox. The more you stop seeking, the faster the answers arrive. Because when you're constantly scanning the horizon, you miss what's right at your feet. But when you soften, when you stop needing to know everything right now, the clarity has room to land. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. If you're flailing around with a net, you scare it off. But if you sit quietly, it might just land on your shoulder all on its own. That's how answers work. That's how alignment works. So don't avoid the discomfort. Don't try to stuff it down with distractions or convince yourself you're failing because nothing's happening. Sit in it. Let yourself feel restless. Let yourself feel bored. Let yourself feel like you should be doing more. And then breathe into that exact feeling until it dissolves. Because on the other side of it, there's peace, acceptance, trust, rest without expectation. That's the hardest part. Because even when we rest, we often do it with a secret agenda. If I meditate, maybe I'll get a download. If I nap, maybe I'll wake up inspired. But this kind of rest, it's different. It's about giving up the agenda completely. It's about saying, I'm resting simply because I deserve to. Period. No strings attached. That's the medicine. And here's the gift. Even if it doesn't feel like it yet, you are safe now. That's why you're being allowed to rest. Because think about it. You don't rest when you're in danger. You don't relax when you're running from a predator. The fact that you're in this season of forced nothingness is proof that your soul is no longer in survival mode. You're not fighting for your life anymore. You're being taught how to live. And yeah, maybe your old identity doesn't like it. The part of you that was built on hustle, that wore exhaustion like a badge of honor, that part is squirming. But that's just proof that you're breaking free from an old program. You don't have to earn your worth anymore. You don't have to prove your value by being constantly busy. You deserve to rest just because you exist. So lean into it. Take the nap. Stare at the sky. Sit in silence. Let the discomfort melt into ease. Because this lesson, trusting rest, receiving the gift of stillness, it's not just about now. It's about building a foundation for the rest of your life. A life where you no longer burn yourself out just to feel valid. A life where rest isn't weakness, but power. This is the recalibration. This is the medicine. And the more you surrender to it, the more you'll realize the pause is not punishment. It's protection. It's preparation. And most of all, it's proof that you're safe now. You deserve this. You always have.